Welcome to Real Flix Reviews, or like a book club for people who hate reading. This week is our theater pick, so we're doing Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. We bring you movie news, and this week we have Jonathan Charney, James Stevens, and Ryan Prest. Anybody have a description of this movie?
I can make one up.
Hell no, that's their job.
Ethan and team take on their most impossible mission yet, eradicating the Syndicate, an international rogue organization as highly skilled as they are, committed to destroying the IMF.
Was anybody wondering?
Wasn't really committed to destroying the IMF.
No. And was anybody wondering why they picked the word syndicate? I mean, every mob movie made after a certain period of time calls like, oh, it's the syndicate.
Well, they were the ones that actually did the Syndicate in the TV show.
Yeah, there you go. That makes something up. Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Syndicate was from the TV show. Matter of fact, it was the first time they used like a sort of a known bad guy in these movies.
No, that was the original then, right? Because I haven't seen the original in a long time.
I haven't either.
Oh, the original was him versus his mentor, John Voight.
Yeah.
No, I meant the original TV series, because I don't remember the Syndicate from the 60s TV series.
Yeah, well, that was one of their frequent sort of same class enemy kind of thing. It was their nemesis, if you will.
Okay, and so I don't know. So, what do you think of the cast? I want to start off. I like the cast. The one that really surprised me, honestly, was the skinny Alec Baldwin.
Yeah, well, first of all, Alec Baldwin can pretty much do no wrong by me ever since 30 Rock. But I dig him when he's doing these kinds of characters. Same kind of, when he did Departed, that kind of, crazy, weird character version of a cop, or something. In this case, a spy.
I still think he's a good actor. I really wish, though, he yelled out "Crazy Ivan" or something. It's from.
But yeah, the cast was freaking awesome. I mean, obviously, the addition of Simon Pegg in J.J. Abrams' movies has never hurt him. And I like that J.J. Abrams came back for this one because he's a far better director than.
Well, he didn't direct this movie though. Christopher McQuarrie. He's the one who actually directed it. He did The Usual Suspects, Edge of Tomorrow. He's a writer for Usual Suspects, a writer for Edge of Tomorrow.
Why don't you look at something that he directed?
That's actually what I'm looking for. It looks like a lot of the stuff he actually wrote. Director, here we go. So, Three to Kill, Jack Reacher, The Way of the Gun, Rubicon, Star Blazers. Looks like he's done more writing and producing than anything.
I did all right.
Yeah, well, shit, Usual Suspects. There's his claim to right there. But then he wrote Jack Reacher and Edge of Tomorrow for Tom Cruise. So that's interesting. And then does this one and then directs it.
I actually kind of liked Edge of Tomorrow. It was kind of like a violent version of that Bill Murray movie, Groundhog's Day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I really wasn't blown away by this film, though. It just kind of seemed like just a normal action.
It pretty much was.
It really wasn't anything spectacular.
My biggest problem, and probably the biggest pet peeve of this movie, is there's really no misdirection, no Mission Impossible feel. This is basically like name insert action movie since the beginning of time.
They definitely don't get lost in a story. I mean, it's a little more self-aware. Obviously, that's where the comedy was kind of coming from some of the time, but. Yeah, I mean, definitely didn't get bogged down in like an overly elaborate story or something like that. It was pretty straightforward for a spy movie.
My biggest annoyance in this whole film, though,
but I think this was just kind of a fan movie. It was almost a way to get the band back together, sort of a thing, But actually, for that kind of a movie, pulled it off. I mean, usually with that kind of a formula where it's just like, oh, let's just kind of do this one last time. You get something like Grown Ups.
I'm a big fan of the misdirection and of the story. It's what really makes it Mission Impossible. Otherwise, this is just, using a name from a 60s TV series.
I thought I was wearing a mask that made it Mission Impossible.
All of the characters in this movie were so fleshed out already that it was really, I mean, it jumped off right from the third one. or from the last one rather, and
The fifth one.
I mean, it just kind of went end to end, kind of sort of gave the fans like every sort of like fun thing you can do. You don't have to explain any characters or what the motivations are. You can just kind of jump into a spy movie.
I don't see. I don't know. I kind of thought they randomly threw in Jeremy Renner and Simon Pegg. I mean, Simon Pegg, at least you got who he was. He was the tech. He was the goofy guy. Jeremy Renner in this movie was kind of like John Voight's character in the first one, maybe, or.
No, he was the guy from the last one who sort of he was like a pencil pusher on the outside, and then all of a sudden some shit goes down and he's kicking everybody's ass, and everybody realized like, oh, this guy used to be a field agent, but then something like he couldn't protect somebody. I don't remember the details.
Damn, way not to bring that up, because I really don't remember that. He's the only funny line he said in the whole movie is, "I cannot confirm or deny." It was like his best line in the movie. Other than that,
well,
there was some misdirection. It was completely lying to Alex Baldwin's character for that small scene towards the end.
Okay, you talking about when he came in with a mask?
No, yeah, I mean it was one where he was talking to the guy who was supposed to be, what was her name? Rebecca Ferguson, Elsa Faust's handler.
Yeah. That's what I said, where he was wearing the mask.
Yeah, that was really the only misdirection in this whole movie, in my opinion.
Yeah. The only thing that really pissed me off was when the guy's in the box and they don't have ricochet. You empty an entire magazine at point-blank range into plexiglass, and the bullet dissolves.
Oh, don't forget about the fact. Don't forget about the fact Tom Cruise can somehow just jump his way into that type of glass. Which you can't really do. You would bounce off of it. At least the first time.
Are you talking about when he slid down?
No, yeah, that one scene where he jumped through that window at first and then slid down the hole in the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The plexiglass.
Yeah, it's that's one of the most common, I think, inaccuracies with action movies is glass. Very few people, most action movies have somebody jumping through what should be a plate glass window. For a building being up to code. Nobody puts breakaway glass in the front of a building. You know what I mean? But nobody ever gets, severely lacerated jumping through any of those windows. So, yeah.
True. I mean, I keep trying to think about my favorite things in this movie. I mean, I guess one thing was the stunt that he actually did on the carrier plane.
Which he's always good for,
Yeah.
I mean, but honestly, I was really underwhelmed by this movie. I mean, it was a fun action movie, but my problem is you're tying it into something as beloved as Mission Impossible and how good the first couple of movies were.
I was bored.
It's a watered down action movie with Tom Cruise.
Let me qualify that a little bit by saying the first one and then third one.
Yeah, no, you're right.
As far as I'm concerned, the second one never happened.
No, I'll agree.
But that being said, I agree with you. I think it was kind of underwhelming. I think the self-awareness might have gotten in the way of trying to tell a good story. Like I said, it seemed more like just trying to get the band back together and throwing $150 million into good locations and Tom Cruise getting to do some stunts.
This was more like America's version of a Bond movie, but not as beloved. It's kind of because you got the cool gadgets like the music, that instrument that was a firearm. You had the
stick with the US. Oh wait, they actually have those. Never mind.
What was it, that paper that happened to be a full color monitor or something, a monitor, which I actually thought that was cool, but it's like e-paper. They actually kind of could do that.
They actually have been doing that.
So I mean, not exactly like that, but so at least it was a little more grounded, I guess, which is kind of a bummer in some ways to me.
Well, it grounded itself in a little bit. It is in as much as it didn't. Jesus, I can talk tonight. It didn't jump in with a bunch of gadgets and stuff like that. It was really all the stuff that we were sort of already aware of with the franchise.
So it wasn't So it wasn't Pierce Brosnan's Bond. It's more like Daniel Craig's Bond, as far as the realism in the gadgets.
Well, it's not even that. It's they just kind of, they didn't get bogged down in creating anything new. It seemed like, it's like they didn't need to. We already knew the kind of stuff that Simon Pegg's character can do. Same thing with Ving Rhames. So it was really just kind of more of the same as far as the characters went, just sort of fighting a new bad guy, you know.
True. And the action, I have to admit, though, the action scenes in this movie were decent, though.
They were pretty awesome.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, it was definitely better than.
$150 million had to buy something.
That was just paying Tom Cruise.
Hey, I still want to know where they got all that ammo from, because Tom Cruise wasn't changing his magazines enough. But that's always my major complaint.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, 15 rounds, you're fucking empty. You know, and then they squeeze out another 20.
What always drives me crazy is how long magazines last. In as much as like an actual 30-round magazine, you go through it in what, 2.5, 3 seconds?
Oh yeah,
if you're just holding the trigger down.
I find it funny that changing magazines are more of a plot device where characters can discuss things. Like, which pretty much what happened. So they could have that woman go one way and Tom Cruise go into the window, then get thrown back out of it.
He jumped back out of it.
Or jumped back out of it.
What was kind of amazing to me, like I said, kind of agreeing with you, John, in as much as, a little bit underwhelmed. I was hoping for maybe a little more of a thicker story. But it was kind of remarkable how not silly Tom Cruise looks doing this still. You know what I mean? Like he still looks pretty badass at 50-something, 53, I think.
No, I actually agree.
Eating a lot of Hostess Twinkies. Preserving.
By the way,
still kind of pulls it off. It's crazy.
But by the way, I have to say to whoever mentioned last week about having to do a motorcycle thing without a helmet, it definitely had to be in his rider because that was in it. And by the way, that crash, I really want to know how they did that, because that was a gnarly looking crash.
Yeah.
And my wife...
And he walked away fine.
And my wife thought for a bit that he had a ponytail, because she noticed when it went to a faraway spot, his hair length changed. Which I thought was a pretty good catch.
That would be pretty interesting if they had that kind of an accuracy.
Oh, so to actually agree with Ryan about the Syndicate, according to IMDb, the Syndicate, the evil organization which is featured in the film, was regular antagonists in the original Mission Impossible in 1966. They were also mentioned briefly in the final scene of Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol 2011, which I actually haven't seen that one, so...
Yeah, that's where I think Jeremy Renner came from.
Yeah,
was that one? He was the pencil pushing kid.
Yeah,
and what was it? Oh, Ethan Hunt's codename in the movie film was Bravo Echo 11, which is just like the first movie.
Oh yeah. When he was calling when they were looking for the knock list. Yeah. God damn, that was a good movie.
I do like, however, how they brought back some of the other stuff they've done in the movies. Like in the first part of it, when they were disbanding the IMF, when they were talking about like breaking into a government facility, blowing up a building, doing this. I do love how they kind of tied it together, which is something most of these movies don't do.
Yeah, it was fun for those little self-referential things, but it was almost a gimmick. You know what I mean? Like it was there to like get the theater audience to be like, yay, first movie.
Yeah, that's pretty much for me. It was like, yeah. Oh, I liked that movie. It was literally what it was. It was like, it kind of took me out of the movie because I was thinking, I liked that movie so much more than this movie.
Yeah, dude, the first one really holds up. It's almost a period piece now. You know what I mean? Like a period spy movie from the early 90s.
Well, because at least
I think it was 95.
Because that one at least had misdirection, which to me,
really old.
I know I keep hampering on that, but it's a Mission Impossible movie. The TV series, the TV series in the 90s, and all the first movie were all built on misdirection and making you guess what is supposed to happen. This movie had none of that. This was literally a James Bond movie set in America to some sort of Mission Impossible thing.
Right. Yeah. Bad guy, go get bad guy, and then we're just gonna throw a bunch of fun things at you. Hey, I don't know if any of the audience is familiar with Boondock Saints at all. James, I know you are. When they made the sequel, dude, did you see that movie? The sequel. Yeah.
I haven't gotten myself to watch it because I love the first one so much. I'm afraid of it breaking my heart.
Don't watch it because it really reminds me exactly of this kind of thing. I mean, it's nowhere near as Mission Impossible is nowhere near as bad as
No,
the sequel to Boondock
Was it like
Saints.
Green
But it's the
Street
same kind of
Hooligans
thing
2?
where the director basically took all the fun things from the first one and just reminded you of it for an hour and a half.
Yeah. That's
see,
pretty much it.
that was the sole reason why, I'm a movie buff, and I think we actually did Boondock Saints in some of the earlier episodes.
Yeah.
I love that movie so much. I was literally terrified to watch the sequel just because usually sequels of my favorite movies suck.
Yeah. Well, that was such a cult hit and just struck a chord for the time period, and it was such a fan vision of an action movie. So it was a really fun movie, Boondock Saints.
I would
Not
say
the second one.
I would say Boondock Saints, though, everybody, that was a movie that you could see yourself doing something similar. This in Mission Impossible, I don't know anybody who wants to be Ethan Hunt. That thought's never crossed my mind ever.
Really?
But wait, you didn't like when Alec Baldwin is, trying to describe Ethan Hunt? He's the epitome of covert. You don't want to mess with him. He will come after you for just doing it.
But
and he will succeed.
They did the same thing though on what was it? It was that Steven Seagal movie where he blew up that oil rig.
Yeah.
It said
That's exactly what it reminded me of.
Because it said, this isn't the student, this is the teacher, this is the guy that you could drop off in Alaska in bikini underwear, and he'd show up on a fur coat with $1 million smile. This is the guy that would drink a gallon of gasoline to piss on your campfire. It was the same fucking speech.
It was
just not as entertaining, and you didn't have Steven
Jones doing it.
Yeah, and
it's unbelievably shocking to me that you just quoted that movie.
I was a little off, but yeah,
it was a little bit off, but he was kind of close.
Mainly because that wasn't Tommy Lee Jones.
The fact that you quoted it and the fact that James recognized it. Actually, I'm kind of disturbed that I recognized it.
Well, here's the thing.
What are you talking about?
Here's the thing. I actually liked On Deadly Ground because how ridiculous it was. Like, that's the reason why I miss Steven Seagal's older movies, because they were on the verge.
He used the 2-liter as a silencer.
Yes. That was the one towards the end of it. He had that weird kind of acid flashback Indian scene.
Jesus Christ, how dare we call ourselves movie buffs watching Steven Seagal?
Hey, that movie was like when it was ridiculous, but not too ridiculous, like his current movies.
That was your sort of if you wanted to watch something dumb and campy, that you kind of went for Steven Seagal or Van Damme. I'm a big Time Cop fan, so there's that.
Like Steven Seagal's movies now, you'd probably have to drink like Crown Royal or something to enjoy.
Is he still making movies?
Oh yeah. Oh, he
probably makes 3. Yeah.
Really?
I think he writes them himself. So I'm gonna have to ask Ryan, what do you give this movie?
A 3. I'm kind of going sort of right down the middle, more or less. It was entertaining. I had a good time watching it. It was pretty escapist still, for the lack of story. But we were all familiar with the characters, and just it blew some shit up.
James?
I give it a 3. I wasn't really impressed by it, but I wasn't completely and utterly disappointed by it.
It was by no means terrible.
Yeah, it was by no means.
See,
complete and utter crap.
I originally wanted to give it a 2 out of 5, but I actually have to agree and say a 3 out of 5. I don't know how much rewatchability this movie has, unlike Steven Seagal movies, which always make me laugh no matter how many times I see it.
So watch Wicker Man and tell me that.
How about Glimmer Man? God. Well, okay, so it's 2 movies. It's Under Siege and On Deadly Ground make me laugh. So yeah, I give it a 3 to 5, and we're gonna switch to this week's television show, and we're doing episode 1, pilot of Archer. And
we did 2 spy things.
I just actually watched it literally a couple of minutes ago because I haven't had time, and I love how the fact they're kind of making fun of spy movies. Like the opening bit was him saying something like, "Geez, I wish you would stick to an accent."
Yeah, whole training thing, the whole introduction of his mother, the whole opening scene. It's like, oh, I'm gonna love this show for the rest of my life,
Because I love the accent thing was funniest because it happens in every like movie where there's like a Russian guy, and you hear him go to like go to like Now he switches in and out so fast.
The difference between
the
this
great
TV
thing
show,
about this show, and you can tell from the first episode right off the bat, is the writers of this show love spy movies.
Oh, you can
And
obviously tell.
and the way that they tell it, I mean, the sort of the American James Bond, but if you really just kind of boiled down James Bond to the alcoholic womanizer that he really is, you know,
That's Sterling
and just kept that.
And you
Still
see,
amazing as a spy, but just a real piece of shit.
and it looks like they throw in a little get smart,
every now and then.
There's bits of everything, you know,
which
in
I
this.
love because they're parodying a parody of a parody type of thing.
Yeah, what I was going to bring up about this show is that they actually have plot devices that they stick to throughout the show.
Except for the ISIS name.
And no, they do.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this is before ISIS. But, you know, they do get into the naming and everything like that later on. But they actually develop the characters, which is completely different than most cartoons.
But this
They
really
actually develop the characters.
But this is more of like an adult cartoon.
Oh, yeah. You don't want to sit there with a
Oh,
5-year-old
it's absolutely for adults. Don't let your kids watch this or whatever you do. But yeah, it's really plot driven. Which it's not out for cheap laughs. Although it does actually really, there are no cheap laughs. The laughs are hearty and very, very smart.
Only get better with time. They really do.
So
The freaking voice acting in this show is so good.
I love the fact that's short though. It's like 22 minutes, which is a good, hey, I got to go to work in a couple of minutes. Get a good laugh in.
Well, 22 without commercials. Obviously, we're in the age of Hulu and things.
Netflix.
So.
And that what's his ex-girlfriend?
Lana.
Really sounds like the chick from Sons of Anarchy or Married with Children.
It's actually Aisha Tyler.
Yeah.
She's a stand-up comic.
Is it
here in
really?
LA.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's also on the new version of Whose Line Is It Anyways?
Right. Yeah. She's the host, and she's done like Talk Soup back in the day, a bunch of panel shows. She's friggin' hilarious.
Yeah.
Because I totally don't. I didn't
And
recognize
isn't
her
the
voice.
mom Pamela Greer?
No, the mom is Jessica Walter. Judy
right.
Greer is
Judy.
Cheryl.
That's right. That's right. She's
The
funny,
women that
well-known
play
person.
Cheryl and Pam, Amber Nash and Judy Greer,
Yeah.
are two of the funniest chicks I have ever heard of in my life.
Does it ever tell you why everybody hates Pam?
Yeah.
Well, you'll get around to that, but
And then you'll fall in love with Pam.
Kind of sticking to the first episode and the introduction of all of it. It's such a hilarious dynamic with their work environment, because it's something, even though it's a spy organization, that we all probably relate to with work in some way or another.
Yeah, and when you get to the episodes of Krieger's background, that's when it gets really crazy.
Oh, it's absurd. It's absurd almost all the way through. But it's actually a really good action show.
So
slash comedy. It doesn't.
We don't want to spoil
on
it.
any level.
We don't want to spoil it too much. We want you to watch episode 1 and continue to watch. Archer, tell us what you think, because obviously you know what Real Flix Reviews thinks.
Yeah, Ryan and I are way caught up on the show. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say anyone who's kind of a fan of sort of the Adult Swim shows and things like that is probably familiar with it. But
and this is on Comedy Central.
If you were avoiding it because it sounds stupid or something like that, it's one of the smarter shows that's animated for sure.
So with that being said, we do have a Facebook page. You love us, hate us, do you think we suck? How about telling us we'll read you on air, like the latest guy who said how bad our reviews are but hasn't said anything else. And also you could also donate to Old Guy Tech TV. Pause the cause, help keep the lights on, just like Accord Motels. And so does anybody have movie news?
There really wasn't anything this week.
There's
there's crap about Star Wars and
yeah, the usual nonsense.
Yeah, it's like I don't want to talk about it. I already did it.
The only thing I've read, and I honestly don't particularly care, they're saying about how some of the original cast members are going to make of Ghostbusters are going to be in the new movie, and I'm not going to see it anyways, just because if it's not the original.
Sexist. He hates women.
Right. Just because if it's not the original cast members, I actually don't want to see it at all.
He doesn't want you women to get mammograms.
You're an asshole, James. I just have no desire to see it if it's not with the original cast members.
Yeah, I don't really care either. I'm not interested in it at all. I was back when they were rumoring that that it was going to be the original cast, but now I don't really care.
Yeah, they've changed everything so much in the effort just to get the franchise back out there that I've really just almost completely tried to forget about it.
Yeah.
And I feel really bad too because how much I actually like it, but without Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray, Harold Ramis, Ramis.
Yeah, Harold Ramis
Who-
and Bill Murray.
Who God rest his soul.
Were-
He's
were-
dead.
They were the Ghostbusters. The reason that movie was popular was because of the characters. And I mean, if they're trying to recapture that with new characters, I mean, they're with the same title and make you love them the same way you loved, those characters. I mean, they're pretty hard pressed. I mean, I understand, Melissa McCarthy, Kristen Wiig, they're incredibly popular, but I don't know, man. It was lightning in a bottle back then. And Dan Aykroyd's writing this movie, and Dan Aykroyd is fucking insane. He's just really, really off his meds nuts.
I was gonna say he's actually like we the jury find the defendant. If you ever listened to like his TV shows or
that's
stuff,
what I meant. And I don't mean to be dismissive and sort of blanket term it with mental illness or anything like that, but
because he's
really spent like the last 15 years obsessed with aliens and alien abduction and things. His original script for the Blues Brothers was something like 300 pages long. I mean, that should tell you everything you need to know.
Yeah, that's pretty insane.
It's insane.
So we're gonna switch a little bit from bashing the new Ghostbusters, even though there's gonna be plenty of stuff to bash.
I love you, Dan Aykroyd.
Do any of you actually want to see a Prometheus 2?
No.
See, apparently another one's going to come out, and they say it's going to answer a question left by the first Prometheus, and I'm thinking, I don't want to see a second one. I kind of wish I could take back the 2 hours I watched for the first one.
I mean, and wasn't the first one was disappointing because it was supposed to answer questions for because it was a prequel, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was supposed to be a prequel, and if I remember correctly, it was originally written by a guy, and it was supposed to be this insane movie that tied everything in, and then I don't know if he quit or got fired, and then it got bastardized by somebody and got into
Dan Aykroyd.
It was like a pre-prequel almost, so that's lame.
Yeah,
John, did you ever watch Dune?
Dune? Or Doom?
Dune. No, Dune, with an N. The Baz Luhrmann, I think Baz Luhrmann.
You mean the movie we watched like a month ago?
You talking about the one that was supposed to be made in the 60s or the one that was made on Sci-Fi Channel?
No, David Lynch, that's the guy I couldn't think of. From 86, or 84 rather.
Yeah, that was the one we did a couple of months ago.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Was I sick that day or something?
No, you bashed it pretty heavily. So did the old guy and
okay.
Frankenstein over here.
Okay, I just don't remember talking about it at all. I think they're making a new one.
Why?
I think they've been in talks for a while about doing that, and I didn't like the movie, really that much at all. And from everybody that I've told that to is almost like apoplectic when I tell them, because they're like, oh, did you read the books and all of this and oh, well, you didn't read the books. The books didn't do the story. Or they didn't. Movies didn't do it justice. And all of this.
I've read the books, and unless you're a big fan of like actual hard-boiled sci-fi, you might like.
But
the
is there something that requires something that they missed in the books that requires this movie to be made again?
Well, David Lynch's Dune definitely does not go with the story 100%. You want to see one that matches close to the story, see the Sci-Fi Channel one, but. Honestly, not much. The only difference, in my opinion, is the sci-fi one got a better story, or sci-fi one got a better story. David Lynch's book version kind of looked how the book was written, but no, I actually don't think it should be made. I actually don't see a point, and I love the story. Are they going to do the first book? Are they going to do like the Children of Dune? Are they going to do the prequels like House Harkonnen?
It was going to be more of like a flat out
Dune
redo. Yeah,
I actually think it's a waste of money, and I legitimately love the story, but I think it's a waste.
God.
Wow.
Are you gonna make it 6 hours?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's just it might just be rumor at this point. They might just be searching for crew on it. But
so I have to admit,
that was
I will watch it, but I legitimately don't understand it. I mean, so I'm kind of wondering why, but
yeah. Well, I wonder why on a lot of these things, but yeah.
So
anyway, I want to get your opinion on it.
So next week is my pick, and I'm doing a movie I know James hasn't seen, and I don't know if Ryan has seen it. I'm doing Parkland.
I am not familiar with this film.
So I want me to give you a quick synopsis.
Sure.
A recounting of the chaotic events that occurred at Dallas Parkland Hospital on the day U.S. President John F. Kennedy was assassinated. It has Billy Bob Thornton, Zac Efron, Tom Willing, Paul Giamatti. So it's Parkland made in 2013.
And what's it called again?
Parkland.
Oh, Parkland.
Yeah.
And next week, what are we doing for the TV show?
Lucifer.
And
it's not. It's just a pilot that got released, I think, like last month, and it's not due to be actually TV released until 2016.
Now, what is it available online? Is it like a?
Yeah, you can find it online. Or,
Okay.
Which one is this again? What are you talking
Lucifer.
about?
Lucifer, the TV show.
Lucifer. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and my iPad gave me issues, and so I gave
Blame the equipment.
Mission Impossible 3 out of 5. James gave it 3 out of 5. Ryan gave it a 3 out of 5. We said, yes, you should watch Archer. Next week is Parkland, made in 2013. And as always, thank you for watching.
Goodbye.